Welcome, Solar here. I hope you guys are doing well today. I am here to bring you your full moon in Scorpio Ascension Tarot Astrology report. It is 6:23 as I begin to record my time, and we are about 5 hours out from the moon reaching her fullness in Scorpio later on tonight. As I am beginning, the moon has literally just entered into Scorpio and she's moved into the 1 degree placement if you are a follower of tropical astrology. Okay, so before I go any further, I want to take a moment to welcome you. Thank you for being here. Welcome if you are visiting for the first time, and if you were attracted by the title, I invite you to chill out and see if you're vibing with my approach to reading the present energies. If you're returning, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your love and your support across my platforms, Solar Speaks, Solar Arises, Daily Alchemy with Solar now, as well as SUBSTACK. Thank you so much. Thank you to those of my SUBSTACK patrons that showed up this past Sunday for your monthly group Q&A. It was a wonderful gathering, and it's always lovely to interface with you guys. Quick announcement for those of you who are still interested, there are still a few tickets available for my events coming up this weekend. So I have the Road Back to Wholeness small group session occurring this Saturday, the 27th of April from 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I also have a Tarot Astrology group Q&A happening this Sunday, April 28th, also I believe at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will put all information for how you can join me for those this weekend. I'll put them in the description box as well as the comment section below. The Tarot Astrology group Q&A, for those of you who have an interest, is looking at your chart. I channel one placement from your chart. And this month we're really honing in on the energy of Mars. So I will be talking about what Mars is up to, and especially what Mars is doing for us through these Ascension gateways, and very specifically what your Mars placement means about who you are cosmologically and what you're bringing back onto the earth planes through your divinely aligned truth. Okay, so I think those are all the announcements. I want to take a moment to also thank all of you who have donated to my channels, who've purchased from my Ko-Fi shop, who are either free or paying patrons over at my Substack. I really do appreciate all the ways that you help me to anchor in what it is I've come here to do at this turn of the ages. So let's get into it. So it's interesting that today is the 23rd of April as the moon is moving into Scorpio, and that we have Venus at the 23-degree mark of Aries, which we'll get into a little bit. The 23-degree mark is a degree of Aquarius. So we've got the number 11, 1111, the call of the light worker, that's the Aquarian energies, and the 23-degree mark astrologically, or the number 23, is also connected to Aquarian energy. Okay, let's get into this and some of the themes that have been coming up for this eclipse. And for those of you who are interested in reading on the energies, I have collaborated once again with Demi Pietchell of the Starfire Codes over on Substack. I will be posting the link to that on the community board. Demi and I get together for both the new moons and the full moons, and we post alternatively on both of our Substacks. Demi does the new moons and I do the full moon. So she hosts, her own new moon reading along with my new moon reading. And for the full moons, I do my full moon reading and her full moon reading. And we do a collaboration, and we put our work together, and then we put it out there into the world through our individual Substacks. And so we've collaborated again for this full moon in Scorpio. And it's so funny because we even channeled the same song. I channel songs quite often, but I don't always, unless I feel very drawn to a song, like explore it and share it with the collective and dive in. But every now and again, I do that. And yesterday night, as I was getting ready to write the full moon in Scorpio alchemy for SUBSTACK, my collaboration with Demi, I kept on hearing this song, and all I could hear was the one lyric, dance into the fire, and I for the life of me, I didn't know what song that was, and I literally went into my Spotify and started doing a search, and then I realized, oh, it's Duran Duran, that sounds about right. And so, did the research around the song, and was even getting ready to sit down and watch that Bond movie when I found out it was the best-selling Bond theme in the United States, I think. And it was released in 1985. Anyway, I couldn't stop hearing just that one line, dance into the fire, and so I started to write about it last night for this reading that the collaboration I did with Demi, and then she shares a shufflemancy and a list of songs at the end, at the close of all of her readings, her daily readings on Substack, and lo and behold, there it was in the list, and I'm sharing that with you because, the synchronicity, so you should definitely go and check out our collaboration for one thing, but also because this is the energy of this full moon in Scorpio. So for those of you who've been hanging with me for a minute, you'll remember maybe that the new moon in Scorpio last year, big energy, right? First time the sun was moving in Scorpio since the nodes had shifted, right, out of Taurus and Scorpio and into Aries and Libra. And indeed, the sun is in Taurus. It's the first time the sun has been in Taurus now since the nodes shifted out of Taurus and Scorpio. But it's a very different energy we're dealing with right now, because you see what was really being hit through that Taurus Scorpio axis when the nodes were chilling in those signs. Scorpio was in the south node, right? And Taurus was in the north node. So when the sun entered Scorpio last year, it began to hit a lot of that south node energy that needed to come up for clearance to further align us with the Taurus themes that connect us deeper into our own truth and into our north nodes also. So now what we're dealing with 6 months later with the full moon, with that 6-month cycle completion of a theme, of a story that entered when the sun was in Scorpio, what we're dealing with now is the sun in Taurus dealing with more north node themes. So as such, there was a lot of, smog, smut that we had to wade through the past 6 months, energetically speaking. And it was to prepare us for this. Some very powerful activations were coming through Scorpio season, as they often will come through that Scorpio window because of what the sign means for us as a collective. I was calling them the Phoenix activations, and the Phoenix activations, it feels like they have been helping us to purge what doesn't properly support them in the fullness of our energy fields and also on the earth. That's what this 6-month cycle has been. It's been very deeply purging to get rid of old stories, old narratives, old energies, the karmic cycles. It's been a deep purge the past 6 months, and it was to prepare us for what today's full moon in Scorpio is really here to bring us, as well as the sun entering in Taurus, and when we have the new moon in Taurus in the next few weeks. And that is, it's time for the true earth value system, the true value system of the earth to return. So before the false matrix stepped in and brought in its energetic fuckery, which in all frankness we're responsible for opening the door to by letting our own guards down energetically, and that's what we've been dealing with, the purging of that truth, especially over the past couple of months. It's one of the main themes of 2024, dealing with the wounds that allowed the inception of the false matrix within our energy fields and on the earth to begin with. The false matrix came into our reality and began to mess with the mechanics of how the earth was energetically supposed to work in order to support us being in our power. And I'm not going to get into everything the false matrix did. We'd be here all night. There's so many strategies. They hit us on every level. It was a very, very carefully constructed, architected, evil, nefarious work of genius. I gotta say it, to have us all this bound for the length of time since the previous golden age of Leo. They really knew what they were doing with the original energetic templates to create the false overlays that became the false matrix. And the reason they really knew what they were doing was because first, their access to us through our own negligence at one point, but then also through the continual hacking and energy harvesting of our fields, right? So once upon a time, we didn't need, I've shared this before, especially my other channel and in my Substack, but we didn't need to be policed. And the reason we didn't need to be policed was because everything was kept into order by frequency. Energies, beings, life forms, consciousnesses that didn't reach a certain level of evolution, soul evolution, were not allowed past the frequency that sustained their level of consciousness. And as such, there were boundaries. There were energetic, frequential boundaries that couldn't be crossed. And they couldn't be crossed because the crossing into an energetic reality where you didn't have the frequency to sustain yourself literally meant destruction, right? So through the false matrix system, they figured out a way to alter all of this. And one of many ways they did this was through introducing a sacrifice system whereby they were harnessing the energy, the pure energy of children. And they did this literally, and they also did this through the constant childhood wounding of the entirety of the collective, and then the exploitation of that wound through consumerism, capitalism, all manner of ways to constantly have us feeling like we're less than. And the root of that energy of lack was born in childhood through the programming that began when we entered into onto the earth planes. Now, Taurus energy is extremely connected to the Divine Mother as a provider. It connects us to our divine resources. It connects us to our divine net worth. So Aries is the energy that opens up the zodiac wheel, and it's all about us reconnecting to our true identity. It's a masculine energy that reunites us with our identity. Kind of like on the earth, our name is often connected to our father. We take the paternal surname, right? Because it's the father that gives the identity. Biologically, the father determines the sex, activates the egg into even being able to create a life, right? So the masculine energy provides the information needed to create identity, all right? And that's what the Aries principle connects us to. It connects us to our I am truth. Okay, now the Taurus energy is then the mother that comes and takes that and helps us to create a foundation from which we can thrive. Okay, so if you think about that in biological levels, the mother is provides the womb space and the energetic environment under which our cells divide and we become. Right? She provides not only the ability for us to do that, but also the resources we need, the foods we need, the nutrients we need in order to grow in utero. And then as soon as we're born, we then the mother is what feeds us, is who feeds us, right? We're nursed at the breast. And that is, again, the sharing of resources. But you could take it even farther than that, because there's so many other ways that through the birthing process, mother provides the foundation of our energy, of our health. So even just a trip through the vaginal canal, if you were born that way, gives you your first inoculation that begins the foundation for the bacterial balance that will be pretty much what your health is founded upon. So you get, and then when you begin to nurse, it's not milk that comes in first, is it? It's another inoculation. It's colostrum, which is a very thick kind of pasty thing that all mammals produce first. And again, it's another way to provide a protective layer of immunity for a newborn, right? So the first 2 days or so, it's colostrum, and then the milk starts to come through, right? And that's another way that your hunger is satisfied. Everything you need, you get from her and through her and by her, in order for you to go out into the world eventually and thrive for yourself. That is the principle that comes through Taurus. So Aries is the divine father that gives us our identity, our pride, our crown. And then Taurus is that divine mother energy that comes and says, now I'm going to give you everything you need, a good start in life, so that this is the foundation that you can build upon. This is what you're going to build your wealth upon. And for this reason, our biofields are very interconnected to this Taurus energy, to the point where we call it a Taurus energy field. It's spelled differently, and it's based upon the shape of how your energy flows, but it's still called a Taurus energy field, because our ability to connect with the resources we need to thrive in all ways is connected to that principle. Okay, that's where we get our individual resources and our access to the resources we need through Taurus. And it's through Taurus's sister sign, Scorpio, that we learn how to take those individual resources and begin to grow them, share them, multiply them, invest them, diversify them, and grow collective wealth, beginning with family legacy, and then also how we've come to gift the collective, so that whatever we leave behind, when we leave the earth, we leave it in a better state than it was, because we've been here and because we've planted it with our own unique brand of resources, okay, that comes through the Taurus energy. So the way you grow in resources cosmologically, universally, is through the raising of your frequency and living with a higher frequency, and therefore holding a bandwidth where you can be entrusted with more. And so once upon a time, the ones who were in charge, and I say in charge very loosely, because it's not the same concept as how we see governing and leadership now, which is very ego-based. But once upon a time, those beings who had those positions of authority, they had them based upon the trueness of their integrity, as based upon their frequential truth, meaning it couldn't be faked. It wasn't about the building of an ego or a career or a bank account or market share. It was about divine alignment and a true soul's purpose, which completely changes how beings interface with others. And understand and overstand that high frequency beings have a very deep sense of worth. And I'm not talking about the things of the matrix. I'm talking about the worth of a human soul, the worth of a life, the worth of a rock, the worth of a plant, the worth of all of the lower vibrating unities and entities that other beings fear or mock or reject, but have their place in the universal balancing act also, because everything is of source. Everything is. The lowest vibrational energy that can exist on this planet only exists because it is a part of Source. It's an expression of Source energy. Okay, so therefore everything is connected and everything is one. But you have to know, we have to know how to interface with all of these things in accordance with who we are and in accordance with their own level of consciousness also. Okay, so this is an important thing to even talk about, because this is what the Scorpio energy also connects us to within ourselves. And that is that Scorpio, the reason it has three emblems, right? It has the scorpion, the eagle, and the phoenix, is because it is the sign through which we learn true alchemy. We learn how to utilize the power of the elements, including the fires, to refine us so that we rise out of anything that is thrown our way for our destruction, knowing that we have the power to transmute and change and therefore rise. Come in. Sorry. So that's what the Scorpio energy connects us to. So in other words, the Scorpio energy gives us, I like to say, it gives us the keys to the kingdom. It gives us access to both heaven and hell, quote unquote, because those are just subjective experiences, right? Scorpio gives us the keys to heaven and hell and tells us which one are you going to choose based upon your ability to rise into your power and alchemize everything that you think is meant for your destruction or your dysfunction. How can you take that and turn it back into gold? Because if you can do that, if you learn the secret of that soul alchemy, you're going to have the access to heaven, to paradise, to the golden fields of Elysium, which again is a subjective experience, not a place, right? So Scorpio tells us, shows us, if you want to have access to heaven, then you must first descend to hell. In other words, if you want access to your own subjective paradise, you must deal with all of the ways you're bound to hellish realities, habits, behaviors, thinking, energies that are actually either binding you out, and not because they're nefarious, but because you're not accepting them for who and what they are to you, whether it's external or internal. And Scorpio helps us to come into such a deep level of acceptance with our own shadow and the shadow energy of others and the shadow energy of the collective. We become so in love with every aspect of the spectrum that exists within us, which other people are just showing back to us. They're just our reflection. Whether we choose to express ourselves that way or not, it's in us too. That's how we see it. There's another thing Scorpio will show you. There's nothing you can see, even, and access about another person informationally that doesn't exist in you. It's how and why you can understand it and break it down to begin with. Right? So Scorpio teaches us to reunite with the lowest aspects and possibilities for our energy as well as the highest. And what binds us out of both the highest and the lowest will always be our ego. Our believing, oh, I'm too good to be like this. I would never descend to that level, right? Given the right circumstances, yes, you would. And the fact that you don't know that about yourself should make you afraid, because it means you haven't accessed the darkness within you, and that can actually now be used and cultivated against you, and it will be used and cultivated against you until you take it back under your wings and say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I rejected and shamed and ridiculed you when you're a part of me, you know? And then the ego is also what keeps us out of the highest versions of ourselves, because we don't believe that we're good enough, or that we're powerful enough, or that it's possible. Whatever ego story we have that keeps us out of accessing the fullness of our God power, but also, admitting to the shadowiest pits of energy and behavior that we all can descend to, because that's what we came from. We came from the above, but we came from the below. We are the all. And Scorpio says, you want to rise up like the phoenix, you got to own your scorpion energy and your eagle energy. That's the only way. And when you do, then you get access all areas. You can move into any frequential reality, because you hold all the frequencies now. You hold all the frequencies now. You are the all. You've accepted that you are a perfect reflection of source, truth, and energy. And therefore, you can go everywhere. Because you have that level of wisdom, but you also have that level of respect for everything. There's no life form or consciousness now that you don't respect, because you see it as a reflection, as an extension, as you. And only beings who are able to connect at that level of having value for every form, every consciousness, are able to be put in a position of authority, because only they are walking in alignment with divine order. And once upon a time, those are the beings who had the authority, who were in positions of authority, meaning that they helped to keep everything in divine order. It wasn't ego-based, it was frequentially based, it was soul-based, it was purpose-based. So, back to today's energy, because this is what we're returning to. And the 4-4 energy is such a powerful message coming through the numbers today, right? So sun at 4 degrees Taurus, moon at 4 degrees Scorpio, it's 4-4 energy. And for those of you who've been hanging with me for a moment, you know, for me, that 4-4 energy, it is one of the ways the Divine Mother lets us know that everything is in order, that we are protected. It is Mama saying, I've got this. That's one thing. The 4-4 energy, when I see it, it's that, right? The 4-4 energy is also very connected to Cancerian energy. It's a degree of Cancer. So we have the laying of a foundation. There's a lot of grid work happening through us today. There's a lot of us powering ourselves up and the grids being powered up too. There's a lot of dragon energy coming back to life, not only because that's the animal of the Chinese zodiac, but that's because it's the year where that energy of the grid system comes back into life, right? So a lot of dragon energy, a lot of dragon alignments and activations coming through, hence the fire energy also, dancing in the fire, you know. The dragons are connected to the grid lines of the above and the below, you know. So 4 is also connected to foundations. When you look at the way that numbers create, multiply, manifest, if you look at sacred geometry, when you get to the number 4, that's where an energy begins to become established, because it's where it has its foundation. And you can see that in shapes. So there's no such thing as a 2-sided shape. You need 3 sides to create the first shape. It's a triangle. But the triangle, while it's a stable shape, it's not as stable as the square, which is 4-sided. Because when you get to the number 4, things begin to become rooted and established, right? So if you do any kind of energy work, you may have learned you work with even numbers. I teach people you should work with even numbers when you are dealing with things that you're wanting to solidify, especially beginning with the number 4. And if you're looking for clearing energies or energy to move, you work with odd numbers, because it's through, geometrically speaking, it's through odd numbers that energy moves. It's through even numbers that energy is established. Okay? So we have the 4. This is speaking about not only the setting of a foundation, but it's speaking about the clearing of the old foundation. So right now, simultaneously, the foundational energy, this is what the inception point and what everything was built upon originally that allowed for it to stand, of the old world, of the false matrix, is being swept away. And you're probably seeing that in your own personal life and experience, and definitely in the world. The old world and the way that things were done cannot go forward. And the reason they cannot go forward is because the foundational energy that supported that once upon a time no longer exists. And through this full moon in Scorpio, it's being wiped away farther as a new world, a true world order is coming into existence, and a new foundation is being set in accordance with the true primordial ways, meaning the true way of keeping divine order frequentially on the earth, so that everything is fair and in its rightful place. Okay, so that's what's happening through the 4-4. There's also, you're dealing with Scorpio energy, right? There is, and it will always talk about emotional integration, but you're dealing with Cancerian energy through the degree. So it's a very big integration, calibration of the waters right now. And the waters elementally are what connect you to your, water connects you to everything, but it connects you to your emotional body, the waters. It connects you to how you dream, how you feel, how you emote, how you charge the mental energy that creates your material reality. So emotions are energy in motion. Every emotion has a charge. And before you add the charge of an emotion, a thought is just an idea that cannot come into manifestation, because the emotion determines the action you take or don't take that then brings forth your material reality, right? So you have an idea. You're crazy about this idea. You're crazy about this idea. You've been feeling it since you were a child. All of a sudden it's coming back to life in you. You're excited because you have that emotional attachment that was born from the experience of being brought back to a happy place in childhood. And so you're passionate, you're focused, you're happy. That's what's driving you forward, right? So in that emotional state, you're more likely to get down to work and begin to do things, right? And then you will produce whatever it is you produce based upon that. Now take the same situation. You have an idea from childhood, you've had it for a while, but because you've had it for so long, you are losing the confidence to put your energy towards it. So that doubt and that fear, that regret and that shame is now what's driving you. So what's that going to do? Probably cause you to procrastinate and spend more time not doing it, which is also going to produce a material reality based upon the emotion that you've chosen to take action upon and to follow. So your emotions are what birth your reality. When you're able to calibrate your emotions in accordance with the ideas and the mental energies that come through, you have re-accessed some of your ascended mastery. So the whole point is the temperature, the energy, the frequency of your waters, your emotions, is always going to determine what you birth. Everything is birthed through the waters. We see that biologically too, right? So right now, what we're going through in Ascension is a re-establishing of the true frequency of the waters that are necessary to birth realities that are a reflection of who we are cosmologically truly, as opposed to all of the false programs, agendas, identities that the Matrix wanted to attach to us to get us to birth miscreations that supported their energy harvesting sacrifice templates, and therefore our own destruction and dysfunction and untimely death and decay. Okay, so I know that's a lot. Let's speak about the tarot energies. So the Taurus energy is that of both the Empress and the Hierophant. So it's about the Empress, again, is the birthing energy, and the Hierophant has to do with institutions. The institutions that support us collectively, but also the institutions that support or tear us down internally. Because our opinions, the way we think, we feel, etc., they're based upon institutionalized alignments. Even if the institution you're aligning with is family. Family is an institution. You get your foundation for how your philosophies and how you think and move in the world based upon your the family interplay you know, of your formative years. That's what oftentimes provides a foundation, and oftentimes that foundation is shoddy because it's rooted on the false matrix principles that have just been passed down generationally, right? So this is showing me also, this is a tearing down of anything that doesn't support your cosmological truth that is connected to an institution, whether that's family, government, church, state. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't support your ability to be authentically who you are and to reach your true frequency, it cannot abide in your fields. And if it cannot abide in your fields, if it has to be removed, then you can know that as it's being cleared from you, it's being cleared from the earth, because the institutions that existed on the earth planes were only there by your grace anyway, because it's your energy that this whole reality has been built off of. So the minute you take control of your energy and you switch the direction consciously is the minute that all of those things your energy was unconsciously building have to come down. And that's what's been happening throughout Ascension. And we're reaching another level of that today. Okay, so another message that was coming through is that a lot of the things that we've been intuiting, we've been feeling this living in two different worlds. There are beings who are still very attached to the false matrix, and then there are those of us who are doing everything we can to bust the fuck out of there and to move into a true earth reality based upon what we know in our souls to be truth, right? And following that guidance again, waking up to that. And the more beings wake up and ascend and move in that area, there's also more kickback, and there's more beings trying to pull others, but really pull themselves more into the old world. And that creates like a fission effect, where the energy now is becoming split because the two polarities of the same energy are at opposite ends of the pole. And that's what is needed to bring a very real material separation, where even as I've seen it, the split, the complete material split, where there are two earths. That's how I saw it. I'm not claiming that that's what's going to happen for sure. I don't know. I don't know. But that's what I saw. You know? So materially, this is what we're getting ready for, a material split. What we've been feeling, whatever you feel, is always a precursor to something being birthed. And so for many of us, we're about to see it materially. Okay? So the 4-degree mark is the 5 of Pentacles. So this is dealing with the lack programming, the lack systems, but it's the sun in Taurus having just come out, the nodes having just come out of Taurus a few months ago. The sun is in Taurus at the 5 of Pentacles, meaning it's time for a new story surrounding this energy, right? So the 5 of Pentacles is about lack states, it's about struggling, it's about suffering, it's about the things that occur to us when we move away from our truth, when we move away from source. Suffering is our soul's mechanism for helping us to get back on track, because that's not what we were made to do. We were made to thrive. We were made to live in joy, in bliss, in love. And in doing that, we live in harmony with self, and we harmonize the earth. When we make decisions, unconsciously or otherwise, that don't honor the truth of who we are individually in our own sacredness, we open the door to suffering. We open the door to karmic lessons. And that's what the 5 of Pentacles is about. The 5 of Pentacles is about the lack and the suffering that comes when we make decisions that don't honor ourselves, but also when we make decisions that don't honor self and have a grave effect on other beings. Sorry. When we make decisions that have a grave effect. So think about it generationally. How much of our lack and the generational karma through this ascension that we've had to clear, right? The Five of Pentacles is very much connected to that, but not for nothing. The Five of Pentacles is a half of the 10, right? So you can't get to the 10 of Pentacles. You can't get back to the 10 of Pentacles, which is the card of true legacy and reestablishing true wealth. That is not only material, but eternal. You can't get back there until you've overcome that 5 mark. Now, the 5 of Cups, which is where the moon is, the 4 degrees of Scorpio is the 5 of Cups, is the energy that makes the 5 of Pentacles possible. So the 5 of Cups is the water energy of the 5s. The 5 of Pentacles is the earth energy of the 5s. Before something comes onto the earth, it comes through the waters. Elementally through the tarot, but energetically everything. Energetically also. Everything born materially through the earth planes, through the earth energy, must come through the waters first. So in terms of how energies are manifested, the 5 of Pentacles needs the 5 of Cups, meaning that the waters must be calibrated into low self-worth, low self-value, doubt, low confidence, in order to continually produce lack states. And this is showing me where there's a shift in this narrative that's happening energetically today with this full moon. Okay? And it's to do also with the institutionalized programming that continually was programming our waters into these lack states so that we produce them materially. The influence means in the waters. Influence. Influenza in the waters. Everything was used to influence us, right? Emotionally manipulate us into giving them the outcome that they wanted in the false matrix from us. And there's an end. And what this can mean for many of you in a more material way is that all of the very covert, subtle ways that you've been emotionally manipulated out of your truth can no longer be disguised. They can't be disguised in people when they lie to you. They can't be disguised in the collective energy. You can't even disguise it in yourself when you're trying to emotionally manipulate yourself, because we do that too. You know, all of us do that to a certain degree until we become so fucking accountable to ourselves for our bullshit. We all do it. Think about I'm reading a book right now, and there was a part with a character, and she became afraid that her boyfriend was having an affair, right? And instead of trusting her own intuition, she instead made it about her insecurity. She said she was insecure. No, she wasn't insecure. That was her intuition. And because she wasn't ready for the truth, because she didn't want to face up to the fact that she was being cheated on, it was easier for her to say, I'm insecure, than it is, oh, I smell a rat, because there's a rat. I smell the rat because the rat is here. You know? And we all do that to a certain extent, right? So she gaslit herself. She emotionally manipulated herself out of her own truth without even thinking about it, you know? So, of course, eventually later on in the book, of course, she finds out that he's cheating on her. And she knew it from the beginning, but she wasn't ready. She wasn't ready to accept that. And so she lied to herself. You know, so we all do that, and it is a protective mechanism also. It's not like a flaw in our design. It is a protective mechanism also. It's even how sometimes our guides work with us. Our guides will not show us everything until we're ready to accept it in a way where we're not going to fall into states of fear that take us farther away from moving forward. kind of like a parent. A parent will do that with children too. If you know, I don't believe in lying to children at all, but you tell them what it is that they are emotionally able to hold. You don't go and tell them all of the nitty-gritty, gory details. You tell them things that are appropriate for their emotional digestion, depending on where they are at their emotional maturity. I hope that makes sense. So, anyway, all of those programs, those stories, the emotional mechanics and manipulations that have been used to constantly program us into lax states to keep the energy harvesting regimes going. No more. And for those of you who are really being activated in all of this, there will be, everything is becoming so transparent. And the reason things become transparent is when you become fully transparent with self, when you utilize the power of that Scorpio energy to see your own propensity on both ends of the scale, is when when nothing becomes hidden from you anymore, right? So what you see in other beings doing, you see it because you can identify it in you, right? When we can't identify things in ourselves, then we make other beings a villain because we're still rejecting that aspect of self. So it's just about them. It's just about them. No, it's never just about them. If it came into your reality, it's always a reflection of something within you that needs to be seen, even if it's not a direct, like mirror image. It's still speaking to an energy that needs to be seen to in you. Okay, so we got Mercury still retrograding, you know, at 16 degrees Aries. I think Mercury is coming out of, is going to be stationing to go direct in the next couple of days. I think maybe the weekend. I don't remember now. But presently Mercury is still retrograding, and this is a big Mercury retrograde we're going through right now, because Mercury likes to help us to review and to remember. And in this review period, Mercury is helping us to reconnect to the information we need to take back our true divine identity and our cosmological truth. You see, it's in Aries, and the Aries energy is all about your divine identity, who you actually are, your I am truth, not who they try to make you out to be, but who you are cosmologically. That's what the Aries energy is. And all of us finished forgetting. We were brainwashed thoroughly out of our Aries energy. And Mercury, as the nodes, the North Node is in Aries also, Venus is in Aries too. They're all doing their part in helping us to reconnect, you know, to that Aries energy. Mercury is connecting us to the information. Some of you may have been recently remembering more how to do things that you've forgotten how to do across timelines, incarnations. More of your gifts and your powers might be making themselves known to you more through this energy. You're remembering, you're accessing that information, right? Venus is helping you connect to the beauty in who you are, the beauty of who you are divinely, the beauty and the contribution you bring onto the earth planes and why you're here. Venus is helping you to remember, because when you can connect, you can remember and you can connect with the beauty and the reason, your raison d'etre, your reason for being here, your soul's purpose. Then you begin to harmonize the earth again back into her truth too. It's not I'm just here to do this for myself. As this is the beautiful thing of how this earth, how all of this has been energetically constructed. What you do for yourself, you do for the earth. In fact, there's nothing more powerful you can do to exert your energy on an external reality more than shifting internally, because you're a holographic being. Yeah? So Mercury, not for nothing, the 16-degree mark of Mercury is the Tower in Tarot, right? So we've got Mercury is the Magician, Aries energy is the Fool and the Emperor. 16 degrees of Aries is the Three of Wands. So this is about setting forth and moving forward, creating a new cycle. That's the Three of Wands, moving into a new cycle so that it can be established through the Four of Wands, right? So Mercury began retrograding at the Four of Wands. This is speaking about some of the foundational energies that still need to be lifted up. I'm seeing them like pull up a carpet, you know, for the new carpet to go down. That's what Mercury is doing, but it's backtracking and letting you see what the old carpet was hiding so you can clean it up before you put in the new one, kind of thing, right? And when Mercury's ready, I think it actually might be going direct like sometime tomorrow, because I believe it's going direct at 15 degrees, and only when it's just been pulled back in. Oh, I think Mercury's going, 1 second, let me see this, because I have the chart up here. It's going direct tomorrow, I think, now that because I remember when I was looking at these transits a few weeks ago, I was looking very specifically. Yes. No. Am I wrong? I am wrong. Okay, yeah, no. It's, yep, just as it pulls into the 15 degree mark. Right. So it's stationing to go direct on, on Thursday. So in 2 days. So it's going to continue to move back through the 16 degree point of Aries until it just moves slightly into the 15 degree mark of Aries, and then it stations to go direct. And this was important because there was something about the number of 16, the number 16 that kept on playing itself out. And the 16, of course, is the Tower. It's the destruction, it's the sudden enlightenment. It is a card of Mars, which is partly why my guides have me looking at the tarot astrology, because it's the Mars energy that restores our boundaries and our defense systems internally, in our own energy bodies, but also back onto the earth planes. And that's where we're at right now. We're getting back our defense mechanisms so that those energies that once scavenged and ate off of us can no longer have that access. We can remember how to do that again. Mars is helping us to do that, right? So this 16 degree energy with Mercury is speaking about what is being pulled down, but also what is being rebuilt. And it's speaking about the flashes of lightning, the enlightenment, the storm energy that is necessary to move through this, of dancing into the fire, learning how to dance with the flames, instead of trying to either put them out or dodge them completely. No, it's time to learn to dance with the fire, because you're ready. You're ready. So these fires are here to destroy, but they're also here to refine, and that's the energy of the Tower. So the fires that refine you will destroy many, only because they've chosen to not partake in the true refinement process that is necessary for them to raise their own frequency. And that's a personal soul choice. Not everyone is here to do that this round. But those who have chosen to refine their souls, you've been in so many of these fires that this big one that's here, you know, through the material separation that's coming, this big one that's here is the one where you learn to show off your skills, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's the Mercury energy. Venus is in Aries at the Aquarian degree of 23. So Venus is the Empress again, and Aries is the Fool and the Emperor, and the 23 degree mark is the Four of Wands. So Venus is here, you know, taking action through the Aries energy, taking action on resetting the foundations and the defense mechanisms that support beauty. And harmony. Venus is very, very concerned with your pleasure, but it's very concerned with your ability to take your resources, your beauty, that are your gifts from the Divine Mother for who you are, and to be able to multiply them in the earth and to enjoy them and to create and to explore them, because that's what you came here to do. So Venus is very supportive of that. And to have Aries, you know, the Venus in Aries, but to have it at the Aquarian degree, the 23-degree mark, this is speaking about the establishment of that for this age is also, you know, and especially because we've got the Mercury, Venus, the North Node, Chiron, and we just had the Sun in Aries. We have so much energy that has been moving through Aries, helping us to start again, start the new cycle. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac wheel. It is the establisher of a new cycle. It is the establisher of a cycle, whether it is a millisecond or 1,000 years. It doesn't matter the time or the length of the cycle it's creating. Its genesis will be in the Aries energy. So to have all of this powerful Aries energy at play, we know we are in a genesis. We are in a regenesis, you could say. Yes. And so Mars is in Pisces at a Piscean degree, 24. Mars is the tower. Yes, that Mars energy. Pisces is the High Priestess and the Hanged One. And the 24-degree mark of Pisces is the 10 of Cups. So the way back to rebuilding your true defense mechanisms and barriers has to do really with protecting your waters. This is why the Matrix was built on maritime law. They were constantly invading our waters in more ways than one, right? And they use these energetic principles to keep us bound to their systems. Right? But there's a breaking of this because it's unconstitutional, universally speaking. So the way that you get your defense mechanisms back, your natural ones that are when your electromagnetic settings are in proper alignment, is through taking back control, seizing back control of your waters. And remember I said before that ascended mastery, one level of ascended mastery is learning how to utilize the power of your waters to create what it is that you want in accordance with your true emotional frequency. Because it's through your emotions, through the waters. It's the waters, the frequency that the waters hold, the frequency that you hold emotionally that is responsible for what you birth materially. Hence the reason why all of these fucking pirates wanted to constantly be in your waters, right? Sacral energy also, not for nothing. Scorpio is over the sacral chakra, your sacred energies, your waters, the waters that you are here to create on the material planes, that you are here to flow through and to create through on the material planes. That's connected to Scorpio and the sacral energy. So Mars is here, for one thing, bringing an end to having to live a life below your value that doesn't bring you true emotional satisfaction and therefore doesn't nourish the earth and therefore leaves you open to karmic suffering, which therefore leaves you open to frequency fuckery. It's all interconnected, guys. So Mars in Pisces at 24 degrees, this is like the tearing down of those false emotional, those frequency fences that were created off of the manipulation of emotions, so that we can recalibrate back into our emotional truth and have natural security defenses again, based upon holding our frequency. When you hold your frequency, no matter what is going on, that means just being honest, being real, being authentic. You know, when you hold that, you have natural protections. Hope that makes sense. Your natural protections kick in, and what it is that would try to come against your ability to be you is naturally repelled, and what you need to support your truth is naturally magnetized to you. Okay, so we just had the Jupiter, Uranus conjunction, right, over the weekend. And so now we have Jupiter at the 22 degree mark, which is a Capricorn. Degree 22 speaks about material contracts is really what it speaks about, and that's very connected to the Capricorn. So the earth signs are all connected to resources, right? So the Taurus energy is how you connect to your personal resources, right? All of the gifts that the Divine Mother has endowed you with in order for you to thrive, to grow and to thrive and to enjoy, right? Virgo shows you how to organize yourself in order to create stability through those resources. And then Capricorn speaks of the contracts you have regarding those resources. But it's also to do with your contracts with the earth, or rather your agreements with the earth, what it is you came to share. Okay, so we were bound into a lot of contracts without really knowing, you know, and now we are beginning new agreements based upon, you know, where we are frequentially. The level of contracts and agreements we're able to enter into will always be in connection with where we are frequentially based upon our own soul work and journey, purpose, etc. So in that way, I say that because not everyone's here to be romantically involved. Some people, that's part of their mission and their purpose, and for some people it's not, you know, and maybe it isn't at this juncture. Know thyself. The more we know ourselves, the more we're able to move in integrity, the more we're able to connect with our divine contracts, no matter what they might be. They might be romance, they might be resources, they might be talents, gifts, they might be all of the above. Through this Scorpio energy, it really can be all of the above. Because I know for sure I've definitely been picking up a lot of energy of contracts, like romantic ones, that have not been attained, or because of frequential fuckery, beings haven't been able to sustain or to access. Those are opening up in a way like they've never been open to us before. And it's based upon the work we've done, but also what this full moon is ushering in. So Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter is the Wheel of Fortune. The Taurus energy, again, is the Empress and the Hierophant. The 22 degree mark of Taurus is the Seven of Pentacles. So this is all about the putting the work in, the plowing the fields to get ready for a new harvest, a new cycle, a new energy. So Jupiter is expanding us and making us ready to hold more, right? And not only that, but establishing the energies on the ground materially that now support that. It's time for the materialization of your wealth, of your, and when I'm talking about wealth, I'm talking about your true cosmological value. It's time for it to come forth on Earth, and it feels like Jupiter is helping to create the containers, energetic containers that are necessary to materialize these things, and even to bring forth and activate the new earth contracts that are necessary for all this too. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to go too much further. Uranus, I will say, is at 21 degrees, you know. Taurus, I think tomorrow it's moving into the 22 degree mark, and so it feels like come tomorrow is when a lot of changes in people's material worlds it's going to begin to roll out. And with Uranus moving at the 22 degree mark, it's activating that at the very least. And then once Mercury goes direct the next day, or stations to go direct, there's a shift in the energy. And I spoke about this, and now I'm seeing more and more why my guides were speaking to me about it in this way. So in the reading I just did on my other channel, Solar Speaks, I spoke about this energy of feeling like you've been backed into a corner, but we've all been backed into the same corner, and we're all looking around and we're wondering, why have we all been backed into the same corner when I know that, you know, I've done this work and this being wants to be in the old world? Why do we have the same kind of circumstances? And that's because we're all being backed into the corner and pulled back so that we can we can have the resistance that's necessary to propel us forward into the worlds that we need to be in, if that makes sense. And so I'm saying that because it feels like through this full moon, through Uranus, through Jupiter hitting the 22, Uranus hitting the 22 of Taurus, and then the day after Mercury stationing to go direct, there's something that's occurring through this week energetically that's activating the material shifts that are coming forth, that are going to actually begin to cement and to show the different worlds that are no longer together, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. I've also been getting energy around the 5-5 portal coming up next week, and very specifically the 6th of May. There's something about that energy for next week. I haven't delved into it. I might go into it on Solara Speaks. But something significant about the 5-5 portal and the day after, May the 6th. So, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there because we're already an hour in. I hope that this Ascension report was helpful and insightful and confirming and affirming and empowering. We are powering back up. We're powering back up into our divine resonance, and as we're doing that, we're powering up the grids, and the dragons are coming to life in a way that they haven't been able to be here since, the previous golden age. So tune into that dragon energy, tune into it, because it's beautiful. It really is. So again, for those of you who are interested in joining me this weekend, either for my Road Back to Wholeness, which is all about helping you to ground in this truth, especially in the body, dealing with the physical shifts and the things that we need to be paying attention to as we take back our bodies, our physical bodies. That's Saturday, and if you'd like to join me for the Tarot Astrology Group Q&A, get your placement channeled, and to learn a little bit more about what's going on with the defense mechanisms coming back in, courtesy of Mars and what Mars is doing and what it's doing through your chart, etc., etc., please feel free to join me on Sunday, April the 28th. And yes, that's it. Check out the Substack article that Demi and I did also. And if you'd like to book with me for a personal reading, tarot astrology, one-to-one soul recovery, all of that can be done through my website, solara.info. And I think that's it. So I'm sending you guys so much full moon love. Thank you for all of your love and your support, and I will see you again soon. Take care.